Hi, my name is Michelle Fitzgerald, and I'm the training director of the Senzar Learning Center. Today we're going to talk a little bit about empathy and what it means to be an empath. I've been an empath, I believe, my whole life. I can't recall a time where I didn't have this kind of sixth sense or super sense ability. What does it mean to be an empath? An empath is someone who has hypersensitive or hypersensitivity to other people's feelings and emotional feelings and even sometimes physical feelings. So some examples of that are, you walk into a big crowded room for a meeting and you can instantly sense, without interfacing with anyone, without hearing any chatter, you can sense the mood or the emotional overtone of what's going on with the people in the room. That quickly, the collective emotional activity of the group. You go to a meeting or you go to a party and you sit down next to someone and you're not even talking to that person, but all of a sudden you start to feel their feelings because you're in their energy field. You're in the close range in their light body. And you start feeling if they're angry or perhaps they're sad. If you don't know that this is an intuitive or sixth sense ability, a higher sensing capacity, you can often, a lot of times when people don't understand that they're empaths, they'll misinterpret those feelings for their own. Oh, all of a sudden I'm feeling sad, or what am I so mad about? You're not mad, you're not sad, it's the person sitting next to you. So you have to learn, how to get kind of acclimated to the reality of the life of an empath. Is a lot of times the feelings that you're feeling, if not most times, aren't your own feelings. Other examples would be you can sense very easily, you can tell, you feel fear or you feel deceit, hesitation, you feel if someone is lying to you, you feel their emotional response. Sometimes you get entire impressions of their thoughts. That's empathy. Many times it's unintentional. You just spontaneously get the feelings by, again, sitting down next to someone, or someone's chatting with you and you're not trying to read how they're feeling about you, or if they're telling the truth or if they're lying, but you just do feel it. Sometimes it's very intentional. Like over the year, I'm a professional intuitive. Over the years, I've done work with thousands of clients, and I've actually used my empathic abilities as a tool to help people. Especially with things like trapped emotions. You can go in as an empath, and a lot of times you can feel the emotions that people have in their energetic systems more readily than they can feel their emotions. And so you do go into resonance with their emotions, and it kind of acts, this is my theory, it kind of acts like a magnifying glass or a mirror, and it reflects back to them what's trapped in there, and they can have an awakening and actually begin to feel the emotions, and that's the first stage to releasing the trapped emotions and often the thought patterns behind that. So it can be very, very helpful that way. Empathy can be used to directly, again, intentionally, or sometimes it'll, again, very much be unintentional, but where we can feel what's going on with an animal. And if our animal is distressed, not because of physical behavior, but because we actually feel how the animal is feeling. Many times animals will feel afraid or they'll feel scared about something, and if you can sense that right away, or if they're sick and you're highly empathic, you can actually, or you hone your empathic abilities, you can actually feel where they hurt. They can't talk to you, so this is an easy way to figure out how are they feeling, where are they feeling, et cetera, et cetera. Same thing with people. You often will feel, an empath will very often feel literally the physical pains in a person's body. I remember I had a boyfriend once, he was regularly in states of pain, but he was kind of dense from a physical standpoint. He had become so good at suppressing pain symptoms that he wasn't feeling pain most of the time. So he'd come home from work and I'd say, gosh, do you have a backache? And my back would instantly start hurting. I'd be feeling exactly what was going on in his body. I'd say, gosh, do you have a backache? And and he'd stop for a minute and he'd tune into himself. He was chronically displaced from himself because he didn't want to feel the pain in his body. And he'd tune into himself and he'd say, gosh, yes, I do have a backache. And I'd say, well, go take an aspirin. For goodness sakes, I don't want to be in pain. Go take an aspirin. So those are some of the kind of ways that empathy can show up, the super sensing ability of empathy. Now, there's some big pros to being empathic. There's a lot of cons, negatives about being empathic. So if any of this resonates to you that I'm talking about today, tune in for the next seminar. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the pros and cons and what you can do to avoid some of the negative aspects of empathy, what you can do to damp down your empathic abilities at those times when you really don't want to be sensing what's going on in other people. It can be, or in environments, or in pets, or in trees, or whatever. It can be literally overwhelming, almost make you go insane. It can be so overwhelming at times, and you need to learn how to manage your empathy. So tune in for the next video. If you enjoyed today's program, please give the video a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If this subject interests you, I've got loads of others that will interest you. And if you haven't ever visited my website, do that too. There's lots of interesting training programs on that site, lots of interesting information. It's sedonaportal.com, and you'll see that on the slide that appears as soon as the video stops. So again, I'll see you in the next video.